So for those of you joining the recording, this is pre-workshop number 1 for COESSIN 2022. And we are recording it so that others can look at it later. Okay. So I will begin by sharing my screen. Okay, so welcome to COESSIN pre-workshop number 1. Normally it's COESSING where we're in Ghana, but this year we're in Nigeria. So we're saying COESSIN instead. And I will just cover a few basic points about computing at the school this year. So many of the computational labs that you will have this year use the Python programming language. We'll go into more detail about what Python is and why it's a good language to use and what other languages might be of interest in tomorrow's pre-workshop. But all of the Python labs will be run on a Jupyter Hub. This is something, again, we will discuss more tomorrow if you're unfamiliar with what a Jupyter Hub is. But it basically allows you to log in and run Python in your browser on your computer. So many of you have signed up already for access. The access will open later today, and tomorrow's pre-workshop will be entirely on the Jupyter Hub. If you haven't yet, you can fill out the Google form. The link is in the email from Professor Arbik, and we will get you access before tomorrow. So this workshop is on how to run Python on your own laptop. This is not required for this year's school because we will be using Jupyter Hub, but we think it's really important for everyone to be able to run Python on your own laptop. So we are running this workshop for you to get set up. So to run Python on your own computer, one of the most helpful ways to do that is using Anaconda. So Anaconda is a Python distribution. What that means is that it has Python. It also has many useful Python libraries, including, there are many, but one example is NumPy, which is very common, and that's for numerical Python. So in science, we will rely a lot on numerical Python and NumPy. And Anaconda also includes computing platforms such as Jupyter. So we'll go into a bit more detail on what Jupyter is and what Jupyter Hub is, but the Jupyter interface is included in the Anaconda distribution. As a note, you will have to download Anaconda. Anaconda looks to be about 600 megabytes, depending on which computer operating system you have. So it can be a bit slow to download. So lastly, I just wanted to highlight, we've got several people on hand for Python and computing help at this year's school. So myself and Daniel Quay will be available virtually throughout the school. And there are 3 in-person helpers, Oladipo Mumin, Simone Silvestri, and Gregory Wagner. And I believe that all of us are online today. You can ask us questions.
Hello, everybody. There
is also the Slack channel called Python 2022. So if you have any questions or anything you'd like input on for Python this year, you can join that channel. And then one last note before we dive in. Tomorrow's pre-workshop is highly recommended. It's an introduction to Python. We'll also go through Jupyter, and that will start tomorrow at 3:30 p.m. in Nigeria time. Okay. I think I will hand it off to Daniel, if you are ready, Daniel.
Yeah, so once again, everybody's welcome to our first pre-workshop. I hope everybody can hear me. If Paige can confirm. Okay, sure, okay. So I think yesterday Paige sent an email about downloading Anaconda software. Probably not everybody was able to download it. We'll still go through how to install it on a Windows computer. So I'll share my screen now, and then we quickly go through that. Okay. Trying to share my screen now. Yeah. Okay, so hopefully everybody can see my screen.
Yes, looks good.
Yeah. Okay. So to download the setup of only need to open browser at all, whether it's Microsoft Chrome, whether it's Google, and just search for Anaconda. So as you even type, something pops up. So you just search for Anaconda, and most likely it's going to be the first thing that pops up. Yes. So you just click and open the link. So on a page, I suppose everybody would be able to see this when they also open it on their browsers. So I'm on a Windows machine, so I guess this is what I use. So I click on download. Now I'm on this. So I click on download. Really? Okay. So I don't know if everybody was able to see. So I don't have some people would have local will have a downloader installed on their computers. So usually if you have a downloader already installed, I think if you click on the download like I did on the previous page, or just your downloader will just pick it up and then start downloading. But as you can see here, if I go to my downloads, because I don't have any installer installed, I hope everybody can see the download moving. So this test will take me 6 minutes. So just so we don't take too much time, I already downloaded the install. So I have it on my desktop. So I can allow this download to go ahead, but then I'll just show my desktop. So this is the downloader, this is what it looks like. And so to install it, I mean, assuming you've been able to successfully download it, you just double click on the installer, which is how we usually install stuff on a Windows machine. You just double click your installer. And yeah, so you don't need to, once you double click and it opens the first pop-up, you don't really need to change anything. I think we can agree to the license. Yes, and yeah, probably you just want to install it for yourself. So you click on next, and yes, this is to indicate the space requirements. Most likely you have enough space. It only requires 2 gig to be able to 2.7 gig to be able to run on a machine here. And I would recommend that you use like already when you're trying to install, there's already some settings already selected. I would recommend you use it. I mean, especially if you are new to Python, I would recommend you just use. So it's all about just clicking and moving forward. So I click on install and then it starts to install the application here. So we give it a few minutes, maybe 1 or 2 minutes.
So I'll just chime in quickly. That's a very good point, Daniel. I mentioned the download is about 600 megabytes, but to actually install, you need closer to 3 gigabytes of space on your computer. So that's important to note.
It should be done any moment from now.
So you can see it's taking a little while. This is expected. Anaconda is pretty big. It has a lot in it. So which is, good once it's installed and you can use it. You have lots of libraries at your fingertips, but it does take a few minutes to set up.
Exactly.
And also once Daniel finishes, oh, sorry.
No.
So
Yeah.
once Daniel finishes this, we'll have plenty of time for you to ask questions. So if you've started this process and need any assistance, or if you have any questions, we'll be able to answer those when we're done here.
Okay, we're almost there. So it's completed now. So let's click on next. And next to finish the install. I mean, it brings you back to the website, but you don't need to do anything more. So okay, so the installation is done. If I click on my Windows start button, I mean, you can see the application, so it's installed. So you can see it says recently added. So you can see Anaconda, you can see Jupyter Notebook, Anaconda. So when you Anaconda, you don't only get Anaconda comes with other things. So we'll be using Jupyter Hub during our tutorials, but this Jupyter Notebook it allows you to use Python locally on your machine. And the hub, I think, is on the cloud. So if you want to open Anaconda, you could just search for Anaconda in your search bar, and you just click on it, and then give it a few seconds, it will load. It's quite heavy, so depending on how fast your machine is here, it might load quickly or take a minute or two, yes. Yeah, it's still loading. Yeah. Wow. Okay. We're almost there. Yes. So when you open Anaconda for the first time, this is what it looks like. So as Paige mentioned earlier, it comes along with a number of different things. I don't think we are using everything here. We'll mainly be using the Jupyter Notebook. So I want to quickly demonstrate how to open the Jupyter Notebook. So if you open Anaconda, this is what you see, and this is the interface. So you have the home button brings you to this page, and then you have environments. No, you can explore this later. The environment is basically like if you want to run different projects, you can create like environment. So a place to work within, exactly. Yeah. So we don't really need the path to the far left. I'll just go ahead and click on launch, and then it will start up the Jupyter Notebook.
Anaconda.
Yes.
That's Anaconda.
Yes. So
no wonder.
hello. Yes. So when you launch the Jupyter Notebook, so you've launched this locally, so you get an interface similar to what you get when you have you open your file explorer. So these are folders I see if I open my usual file explorer. So also from here, I could go into different, you could open different folders from here, yes. And so when you are here, if you already have, for instance, I think I should have a local, okay, no, this is not my actual laptop. So, but if you wanted to start a new notebook, so anytime you open the Jupyter Notebook locally, you always find an untitled notebook at the bottom. So if you wanted to start a notebook, I just click on that, and then it opens a new notebook for me, and then you start it. I think tomorrow we'll talk more about using the notebook, writing some codes. And so I will not go into that today. So this is the first way to open the Jupyter Notebook. To open it by opening Anaconda first. Another way to open the notebook is to use the command prompt. Anaconda comes with this prompt. So you can either open the notebook from the Anaconda Navigator itself or from the prompt. So I click on the prompt, and if I wanted to open Jupyter Notebook, all I have to do is just type Jupyter Notebook and click on, press enter. And I'll also do the same thing, also open it. So that should be it. I don't know if I left something out. I think these are the two ways by which you can open the notebook and how to install Anaconda. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Daniel. Yeah, as you can see, it's much faster to use Anaconda prompt because when you open up Anaconda Navigator, it opens up all of everything that you might want to use. But if you know you just want to open up a Jupyter notebook, it's probably faster to go through Anaconda prompt and just type out Jupyter space notebook. There's one other thing I want to comment is this was demonstrated for a Windows machine. If you have a Mac, it does not come with Anaconda prompt. And instead, you could just use Terminal if anyone here uses a Mac. Okay, are there any questions or points of confusion or anything about what Daniel just covered? You can either unmute yourself and ask, or you can type in the chat.
Hey.
Yes. Hi, Evan.
Yeah, I have a question. Yeah, so in a couple of the labs that we'll be doing doing mapping, but I see that this installation does not immediately give access to that. Am I right? So is it possible that we can let participants know how to add that as well? Thank you.
That is a great point. So Anaconda comes with a lot of libraries that you might want to use, but not all of them. And so you can install them yourself. What I usually do, so I think what Eben is talking about is, for instance, there's one kind of map plotting tool called Cartopy. And that's an example of a package that I don't believe comes in Anaconda. And what I would do to figure out how to handle that, maybe I can share my screen.
Okay. And it can be checked.
So what I would do if I know I want a package called Cartopy, I'd say Cartopy install. And click here. This is the installation for CartoPy. So then I would go ahead and copy this line, and I would paste it into Anaconda prompt. So what Daniel showed at the end. And what this does, this says Conda install. So this is basically using Conda install means you want to add this package to Anaconda, and Anaconda will handle it for you and make sure everything works okay. So that's what you'll look for is a Conda install. This is kind of Conda forward is kind of the channel through which you're going to do the download. It's not really important for now, but you can copy that. And then you'll say CartoPy. So the most straightforward way is to just copy this line, put it into Anaconda prompt, or if you're on a Mac, into your terminal, and then hit enter. And it'll print out a bunch of things. It might ask you to it says we will need to update the following packages, and you'll have to type Y and then enter, and that's saying, yes, please update everything. And then it should at the end say, you are done, it has been installed, and then you'll be able to use this package. So this would be the same for any package that is not included in Anaconda. There are various ways to see if your package is included, and we'll look into this in more detail. You'll use a lot more packages starting tomorrow and then during the school next week. But if you have any questions about that, you can feel free to ask.
Hello, Paige.
Yes, hello.
Is it possible to get a recording of this workshop so that it will be a guide for us to open? Yeah, okay.
Yes, it is being recorded right now. So
okay,
are we
going to? Okay, you send it to us.
Yep, I'll post this on YouTube as soon as I can when we're done, and I can share through email, and I can also post on our Slack workspace.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course. And tomorrow's workshop will also be recorded.
Okay, but it would be nice though if Daniel could go through the opening of Jupyter on is it Anaconda prompt or Anaconda navigator again? I don't know, depending on the time. If Daniel can open it, it can go through the process again.
Sure. Do you want to get ready to show that again, Daniel? I will
no problem.
Answer one question in the chat while you get ready. So Roland, you can absolutely use Jupyter Lab. So we're talking here about Jupyter Notebook. There is a very similar interface called Jupyter Lab, and our Jupyter Hub, I know this is a lot of terminology I'm throwing out, our Jupyter Hub, it actually uses Jupyter Lab. But we'll show this more tomorrow, but Jupyter Lab is basically a fancier version of Jupyter Notebook. And so you're welcome to use Jupyter Lab or Jupyter Notebook on your local computer. All right, Daniel, go ahead.
Okay. Hope you can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay, great. So yes, I didn't close the navigator. I just kept it open. So I'll just go over what I said earlier. So when you install Anaconda Navigator, it comes with Anaconda prompt. So if you want to run code in a command line, because it's also possible to run scripts from command line. So I will just search for Anaconda in my Windows search tab. Yeah. No, I want to use Anaconda prompt. No, so I just type Anaconda and I open the Anaconda prompt. So this is what you get. You get something similar to a terminal. It's also a terminal, but basically for Anaconda. Then you want to open Jupyter Notebook. So you type Jupyter Notebook. And then you press enter. And it will automatically open the Jupyter Notebook for you. So this is one way to open it. And like I mentioned earlier, when you open the notebook for the first time, you get an interface that is similar to what you have when you have you open your file explorer. So you could also move into your files. The way you navigate in a file explorer, you do the same here. So this is one way to open the Jupyter Notebook. And then the other way is to open the navigator, which takes longer because it's heavy. And depending on how fast your machine is, it might take quite a while.
So I'll point out, you can see that there's a Jupyter Lab option next to Jupyter Notebook. So you could launch
Exactly.
either of these, whichever one you're more comfortable with. And we can talk a bit more about that if you're interested. We might show a little bit tomorrow. I have a question, Daniel. When you go to your kind of Windows Start menu,
Yeah.
there is an option that says Jupyter Notebook. If you just click on that, does it start up for you?
Yes.
Okay. So is that a
Yes, it
third
also
option?
does that. Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Exactly. That escaped me. Thank you.
Yeah.
That also does the same. Yeah.
I think that's new from, I don't use Windows, but a couple years ago at COESSING, I don't think that was an option. So that's really handy.
Yeah.
And
I
then
also installed mine a long time ago.
yeah. Things change, things get updated. And I guess one more comment while talking about Jupyter Lab versus Jupyter Notebook. If you want to open Jupyter Lab through Anaconda prompt, you can still do the same where you type Jupyter space lab, and then it will start up a Jupyter Lab. Okay, we have a few questions. Yes. Is it Meshach? You have your hand raised?
Yes, thank you, Paige. I wanted to ask, how many of such apps like Catopy are we expected to use in this workshop that are not within the package of this Anaconda or Jupyter?
Yeah, we will provide a list of those for you. So when you use Jupyter Hub, which is what we will use for all of the official Python content, you won't have to do any installation because we will add all of those packages for you. But I can provide a list of all of the packages and how to install them so that you can install them locally as well. I don't have that list yet, but I can get that later in the week.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.